There's a moment that doesn't get talked about much. You're sitting across from your manager, they're smiling, they tell you there's an opportunity, more responsibility, a better title, a bigger paycheck. And for a second, it feels like you've won. But then something strange happens. Instead of excitement, you feel a quiet hesitation. Not fear exactly, just a question sitting in the back of your mind. Why does this not feel as good as I thought it would? Most people ignore that feeling. They say yes, of course they do. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Keep moving up, keep earning more, keep progressing. But what happens when you don't? What happens when, for the first time, you say no? We've been taught to think of promotions as a straight path forward. More money equals a better life. A higher title means you're doing something right. And if you say no, it almost feels like you're going backwards. But that assumption hides something important. A promotion doesn't just change your income, it changes your entire relationship with time, pressure, and expectations. And most people never stop to think about that part, because on paper, it always looks like an upgrade. But in real life, it's a trade. You're not just earning more, you're committing more. More meetings, more decisions, more responsibility for things that used to not be your problem. And slowly, almost without noticing, your job starts following you home. It shows up in your evenings. It sits quietly in your weekends. It turns small problems into things that feel urgent. And at some point, the question shifts. It's no longer, how much am I making? It becomes, how much of my life is this taking? What makes this complicated is that the system rewards saying yes. The people who accept more responsibility get noticed. They move faster. They're seen as driven. So saying no feels wrong, like you're missing an opportunity, like you're being left behind. But here's the part most people don't realize. Every yes you give to a promotion is also a no to something else. You just don't see it immediately. It might be time you could have spent learning something new on your own, or the mental space you had after work when your job didn't define your entire day, or even just the ability to feel done when the day ends. These things don't show up in your salary, but they matter more than we admit. There's also a psychological layer to this. Promotions don't just increase your workload, they change your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who has to perform at a higher level all the time. Mistakes feel heavier, expectations feel sharper. And instead of feeling like you're progressing, you feel like you're maintaining something fragile, like you can't afford to slow down. So even though you're earning more, the pressure grows faster than the reward. And that gap is where stress lives. Now here's where things start to shift. The first time you say no to a promotion, something uncomfortable happens. You feel like you're stepping out of the system, like you're choosing a different path than everyone else. And for a while, that feels uncertain. But then something else happens. You start noticing what doesn't change. Your income might stay the same for a bit. Your title doesn't move, but your time stays yours. Your evenings feel lighter. Your weekends aren't carrying leftover stress from the week. And slowly, you begin to understand something most people miss entirely. Growth doesn't only happen through your job. When you stop automatically chasing promotions, you create space. Space to think, space to choose, space to build things that aren't tied to your employer's expectations. That could be learning a new skill, or understanding how money actually works beyond your paycheck, or simply having the energy to make better decisions instead of reacting to constant pressure. And ironically, this is where real control starts to build. Because you're no longer dependent on the next raise to improve your life. You start focusing on the gap between what you earn and what you keep, on how you use your time, not just how you sell it. And that's a completely different game. This doesn't mean promotions are bad. Sometimes they're the right move. Sometimes they genuinely align with what you want. But the problem is when they become automatic, when you say yes without asking what it actually costs you. Because the cost isn't just effort, it's attention, it's energy, it's time you don't get back. So what does this look like in real life? It's not about rejecting every opportunity, it's about pausing before accepting one. Asking yourself simple questions. Do I want the work that comes with this, or just the idea of it? Am I trying to move forward, or just trying to keep up? Will this improve my life outside of work, or just inside it? And sometimes the honest answer leads to a yes. But sometimes it leads to a no. And that no isn't failure, it's clarity. It means you're no longer measuring progress the same way most people do. You're not just chasing higher numbers, you're paying attention to how your life actually feels. And that's a different kind of awareness. In the end, money does matter. It solves real problems. It creates options. But the way you earn it shapes your life just as much as the amount. So the goal isn't to avoid growth, it's to choose it carefully. Because not every step forward is worth taking. And sometimes the most important shift doesn't come from earning more. It comes from realizing you don't have to say yes to everything that looks like progress. And once you understand that, things don't just change financially, they change mentally. You feel a little more in control, a little less rushed, a little more intentional. And over time, that difference adds up in ways that no promotion ever could.